As long as you do these two things, you stay out of trouble. First things first, and what everybody should be asking is, great, send me all the documents. Every investment should have some sort of, and they call it different things, prospectus, PPM, disclosure documents. It can come in a whole bunch of different ways, but it actually ends up being really the protection for the investors. It's also a big protection for the guys that are raising the capital as well. But the prospectus, in the most general term, oftentimes it's called a private placement memorandum, is a description of everything about the opportunity. Who's the management? How much money is getting raised? How the money is getting spent? What's the business plan and uses of the cash? And then ultimately, what are all the risk factors that an investor should be paying attention to? When it comes to putting together these types of deals, I tell people two things. And as long as you do these two things, you stay out of trouble. Say what you're going to do what you say. And as long as you do that, there's no problem. But that prospectus, that PPM that the investors really have to review and understand what they're getting themselves into, that's what the operator, the management is saying, here's our plan and here's what we're going to do. And sometimes investments don't go well. And if you execute the business plan the way that you describe it to the investors, it doesn't go well, then the investors don't have a very strong argument of, well, we didn't know what happened. There's less liability on the operator by providing the disclosure of all the information of what's happening, as long as they're actually doing what they say. From the investor's perspective, if the management are not doing what they say, you're getting this prospectus, this PPM that says, hey, we're going to do all these things. Here's our key parties. Here's some risk factors, but you know what? And this happens more often than I'd like to admit. A management says, oh, we don't really need the money over here. We need it from some other investment, or we've got a problem over here that we're going to have to go and deal with. And then they just don't do things as they express to the investors. And that can be securities fraud. That can cause that personal guarantee from the management to the investors. And if it gets serious enough, it could even lead to jail time, not just a guarantee of the investor's investment, but they call it treble damages, where you have to pay 3 times the investor's losses to them. So there's some huge concerns or causes for concern of, hey, if you go the whole route of saying, this is what we're going to do, Mr. Investor, and then you don't do it, investors have a great claim. As long as you maintain and do what you express to the investors you're going to do, the management actually ends up being well protected. And so that's really one of the biggest thrusts and the reasons why it's important to do it right from the get-go.
Yeah. And I'm familiar with just the responsibility that it takes to put one of these funds together. We've done it a number of times over the years, and you got to make sure you know you know exactly what you are intending to do, and then you do it over and over and over again, because it's a really high standard.